Hey, down.
Yeah, just a few words. Loma. Look down and then look up for TV. Look up at TV. Everybody good back there? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ed.
Sorry, guys.
I don't like that they have this sidewalk. It should have been in the middle.
And quickly, I'd also like to bring up to the stage WBO President Paco Valcarcel with something, maybe an early birthday present, perhaps, but something he'd like to give to Mr. Bob Arum.
Sorry,
Paco?
guys. My phone still was not sound. But
Thank you.
hopefully you can hear it right now.
Good morning, everybody. We would like to present the plaque
Oh my
for
God.
WBO 2017 Promoter of the Year, Mr. Bob Arum. Mr. Bob Arum, we got 168 Ramirez, you got 147 Pacquiao, Horn, you got 140 Crawford, you got 130 Lomachenko, 126 Valdez, and 122 Magdalena. And it's a great honor for WBO to present this deserved plaque to you, and congratulations for the Battle of the Purist. That would be a great fight. I know you will be celebrating your birthday. We got another present for you, but this is a well done job as a promoter.
The Viagra package, right?
No, give me a break. But we would like to present this beautiful plaque to Mr. Bob Arum, Promoter of the Year, WBO Promoter of the Year 2017. Thank you.
Look at Mikey down, please. Look down. Mikey is. Thank you.
Thank you, Paco.
Thank you so much, Paco. And really, thank you for the support. We've had a great year with the WBO, and it's nothing like what's going to happen this coming year with our ESPN megaphone. Boxing is really on the upbeat, and we're going to be doing so many fights on ESPN and so many WBO title fights.
In order for this solid gold card to happen, two teams had to come together to bring their fighters into this historic event. I'd now like to introduce Dino Duva, who is head of Rock Nation Boxing, promoter of Guillermo Rigondeux. Dino, thank you not only for bringing Guillermo, but for being here with us today for this historic fight. Anything you'd like to say about the event Saturday night?
Yeah, just briefly, I'm just honored and really tickled to death to be associated with this great event and this great main event. I want to thank Bob, Top Rank, ESPN for this great opportunity, Vasily Lomachenko and Agus for giving Rigo this opportunity to fight for his belt. It's just, what more could be said about this fight? It's one of the greatest matchups on paper that I've ever seen in my life. And I really believe that the fight itself will live up to its expectations. And I also believe that the winner of this fight will be hands down recognized as the best fighter in the world. It's just everything that's gone on with this promotion, this fight. When Bob and I first started talking about it, you know, we obviously talk business, but the thing we couldn't stop talking about was what a historic matchup it is. And it really is what it's all about. It's great for the fans, great for the boxing industry, great for everyone involved, and I'm just proud to be associated with it, and I look forward to a great fight Saturday night. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. A few things about Bob before I get to him. Today is the 47th anniversary of the very first promotion that Bob Arum ever had here at Madison Square Garden. And the event on Saturday night will mark his 30th event here at the Mecca Boxing MSG. So that in and of itself is pretty remarkable, Bob. So at 85 years old for one more day, tomorrow is Bob Arum's birthday. He'll be 86 years old. He hasn't skipped a beat. But you, Bob, have promoted many historic events. Obviously, your first one here being with Muhammad Ali. Where does Saturday night's bout with Lomachenko and rigondeux kind of rank for you in terms of historic bouts in your career that you've been a part of?
Well, it's obviously a historic fight. Two great fighters, with two unbelievable pedigrees facing each other. This is a real milestone in boxing. It's recognized by almost everybody associated with boxing as being something very special. And I'm so delighted that it's in Madison Square Garden. You have to understand, you can tell by my voice, I live in Las Vegas. I haven't lived in New York since the 80s, but I'm a New Yorker. As a young man, I went, sat in the rafters you had a minor league hockey team. You paid 10 cents to watch them play, called the Rovers. And I went to college basketball games in the old garden. And then in the 70s, when they opened this building, New Garden we called it then, I was obviously enamored with it. And then in December of 1970, when I did my first fight here, Ali and Bonavina, it was something special. And whenever I come back to the Garden, it's really something special. I mean, the Madison Square Garden is part of my DNA, it's part of Top Rank's DNA, and it will always have that feeling for me and for my company. So the fact that together with Rock Nation, we could put on this magnificent, tremendous event here in Madison Square Garden is something special. And I also want to thank Dino and Rock Nation. Going into this event, I heard terrible stories from other promoters about how they couldn't get along with Rock Nation, other people who were very difficult to deal with. I must say, Dino, this has been a delightful promotion. There hasn't been one problem except for Rick.
He might be the only problem to your left, right?
I love Guillermo. He's great.
Who said it? That means you know.
There hasn't been any problem. It's been really a very pleasant promotion.
Before we get started with the fighters up here on the dais, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a fighter that we have here in the front row, fellow top-ranked fighter and lineal unified 140-pound champion of the world, Terrence Crawford, is in the house, everybody. And speaking of Terrence, Bob, you can probably speak to this. You'll be heading out to Australia after this fight to promote Jeff Horn versus Gary Corcoran for the WBO welterweight championship of the world, and a chance that Terrence Crawford could possibly be fighting the winner of that fight for his 147-pound debut, correct?
No.
Okay, correct.
He's not going because you won't go with him.
Well, you know, it is what it is, married life. What about the fight, Bob?
What about one fight?
I mean, I know the smile, I know that, yeah, exactly. He's still thinking about that Viagra package. I'm talking about the fight that you're leaving to Australia and maybe Crawford fighting the winner of that fight.
Well, yeah. Remember, ESPN is changing the face of boxing. Before ESPN got involved in boxing, it was a relatively parochial matter. There were two premium networks sort of dueling with each other, but two networks that were basically entertainment networks. They kept boxing alive. because nobody else would be involved. Now ESPN is alive and well in boxing. This fight will be shown on ESPN for free all over the country, bars and restaurants and in homes. And just to show the commitment to boxing that ESPN has, the fight between Horn and Corcoran for the welterweight championship, the winner which is obligated to fight Terence Crawford later in the year. That fight will be held on a Wednesday night in Brisbane, Australia. That's equivalent to early Wednesday morning in the United States, difference in time. That fight will be televised live on ESPN, and people want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can watch it live. Want to sleep a little longer, use your DVR, and then get up and watch it. But the point is, it will be shown on a live basis in the United States, just the way ESPN showed Murata's middleweight championship match live on a Sunday morning in the United States, where in Japan, 30 million of the 90 million Japanese watched that fight live on a Sunday night. So what ESPN is doing is great. They are really joined with boxing. They're behind boxing. It's an absolutely new era, and any so-called executive who wants to fight it and wants to counter-program it, be my guest.
As Bob mentioned, that Horn Corcoran fight will be televised live at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. If you want to sleep in, as he mentioned, it'll be replayed in prime time on ESPN2 at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. So back to the card at hand. Bob mentioned ESPN. Streaming live on ESPN are our first 3 preliminary bouts. One of the preliminary bouts is up here on stage, one half of it, should we say. The lovely lady down to my right, holding down the other end of this stage with all these guys up here, Michaela Mayer. She'll be fighting on the ESPN app. And Michaela, let me first ask you, this is the first time you'll be fighting here in New York City, here at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca of Boxing, and only your 3rd professional fight. How excited are you for the opportunity to fight here at Madison Square Garden and in front of the New York City fans?
I'm definitely really excited about fighting in front of New York City fans because they're the best fans out there for boxing. I mean, it's the Mecca of boxing, and I was always envious of the girls who got to fight at the New York Golden Gloves, like Christina Cruz. So it's an honor to be here. I know I have to put on a good show because these fans know what they're looking for, so it's gonna be good.
How about sitting up here with some familiar faces, all these Olympians up here, and you get to represent for women's boxing the Olympics, which hasn't been around for too long. How good does that make you feel to represent for women's boxing up here along these fellow Olympians?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. There's great Olympians on this card, but I mean, it's the first time in history that a woman can sit alongside these other Olympians as well and perform on such a huge card. So I'm really grateful for Top Rank for, giving me the respect and the honor of being on such a card, and it just shows how much they support women's boxing.
Great, thank you, Michaela. Doors open at 7:30, so make sure you get there early if you do have tickets to check out Michaela. If not, again, you can watch her fight right before we head on to the TV broadcast on ESPN3 and live on the ESPN app.
And by the end of the year, this year, she's going to be in the main event. You guys are going to see, right?
I'm looking forward to
No,
this.
we have plenty of dates, so you'll all have plenty of action. But she is going to be star in the main event before the end of 2018.
I like it, Bob. Thank you.
You heard that right here. You can pull that receipt later. We'll keep the video for you.
That's proof. That was recorded.
Right, exactly. All right, let's move on to your left in the bright red. Big smile, big dimple. Shakur Stevenson, not a far drive for your family and friends to come here on Saturday night, and not your first time here fighting at Madison Square Garden, but what does it mean to you, again, not only to be able to showcase your skills here, but open the show Saturday night on ESPN?
I look at Madison Square Garden as my second home, so I'm back at my second home, and I'm ready to put on a show.
What can the fans expect watching on ESPN? This will be your debut. As Bob mentioned, millions and millions of homes have ESPN. What can they expect to see from this a little more mature now, Shakur Stevenson?
I'm gonna put on a show. I'm gonna box hard, box, have fun, and if the knockout comes, it comes.
Lastly, you had a chance to come to California to spar with Vasily Lomachenko. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing being in the ring with such a great fighter, and he showed me why he's so good and why he's elite. So it was great sparring, and I appreciate the fact that he allowed me to come out there and work with him.
He did all right, Vasily? Shakur did pretty good? Yes, okay, you got your approval. All right, Shakur, he will be opening our...
I got one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep saying this. I dog Terrence Crawford in basketball. Me and my team.
Every time he gets the mic in his hand, Terrence, and you don't have a mic, he gets to say something. You don't get to... He says you're lying.
It was 5-on-5. Yeah, I took some money from him.
Who took the most money? I took money from you every camp.
No, you took money first camp, and I came back. No, I came back and took it back.
All right, we'll keep it. All right. Not only in our main event, we have two 130-pounders, but we also have another 130-pound fight on the card for the vacant, or for the NABO title. To my right is Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Welcome, Chris. I'm sure you'll be watching the main event closely, as they are now in your weight division, but that is a new weight division for you, moving up from 126. How comfortable do you feel now at 130, not only the new weight class, but with your new team?
No, I feel good. I learned something. It's not making weight. It's how you feel in the fight. And 130 is gonna help me a lot with the weight and not get dehydrated and nothing like that. But after in this fight, I'm gonna look amazing. I'm sure of that.
You were going to fight Casey Ramos. Things kind of changed at the last minute, but either way, you're preparing for a tough fight. You've been kind of saying all along, you think the way that you fight, if you've never seen him fight, he's an all-action, come-forward, knockout-type fighter. So I know that you want to kind of put on a really good show for these fans, and you've got some great sparring with Chino and your new team to kind of help you prepare for your fight.
Yeah, I was sparring with Sosa, I was sparring with Tevin Farmer, elite fighters, so that's gonna help me a lot. I learned something that I fight 10 rounds, I'm not fighting 4 rounds or 6 rounds. 8 rounds, I'm gonna fight 10, and I learned something about keep pushing the boxes and make great movement, not throw hard punches a lot, so I'm gonna be better Pitufo on that night.
Would you like to say something in Spanish to everyone that's watching in Puerto Rico?
Gracias a mi familia, esta pelea se la dedico a mi familia, a Puerto Rico, a todos mis fanáticos, esta es nuestra segunda casa. Gracias por siempre apoyarme a mí, apoyar a Puerto Rico. Creo que después de esta pelea vienen muchas cosas buenas para mí, para mi familia. Yo soy el tipo de boxeador que no pelea tan solo por tener una mejor calidad de vida, sino por darle una mejor calidad de vida a su familia. Y creo que después del 9 de diciembre se escribe una historia nueva de una futura estrella de Puerto Rico. Thank you, everybody.
Christina,
Yes, Bob.
before he finishes, I know he's been training here in the States, but he has friends, relatives, family back in Puerto Rico. Let him tell people what is happening now in Puerto Rico, how the situation is.
In my hometown, we lost like 90% destroyed. We lost a lot of furniture. We lost TVs, bed sets, and maybe everything in my house. But right now we're gonna move to Orlando and make a life there, and with my mom, brothers, and I got a lot of family there. So now Puerto Rico is not too good, but maybe in 2 years we're gonna be fine.
I know it's a horrible situation. Obviously, we here are not doing enough to help the Puerto Ricans. The one good thing is, as Christopher said, they're moving to Orlando. Florida's gone blue, baby.
So should we get to it? You haven't been, you want to keep on the politics and moving on over to Michael Conlon and the not so politically correct middle finger that you gave in the Olympics. But anywho, that's a pretty fly suit you got there, by the way, I have to say. You might win best dress here today. You and Michaela.
You always have to be sharp dressed for these events.
Right? Speaking of being sharp, this place, Madison Square Garden, pretty sharp night in your pro debut when you were here. Conor McGregor walking you out. I mean, it was quite the spectacle. Obviously, you took care of business in the ring, but being back here, does it kind of bring back all those feels again?
100%. You know, the Garden is a special place to fight. I already believe it is my home. The amount of fans I bring Saturday evening is going to be phenomenal. The amount of fans I bring here every time I fight here is going to be phenomenal. So, you know, I look forward to coming back here again after this one, after I get the victory on Saturday evening. March 17th, we'll be back again.
Bob, you kind of made that a point when we signed Michael Conlon that Madison Square Garden, maybe around St. Patrick's Day, would kind of be his date moving forward. So this is a place, if he calls this a second home, that's very much a correct statement, right, Bob, in your plans for Michael Conlon to fight here at the Garden?
Yeah, not only is obviously the St. Patrick's Day, Mick Conlon will be a featured fighter on the card, but it's going to be a really interesting card because there'll be a vacant 140-pound championship. My fighter, top-ranked fighter, Jose Ramirez, young kid from Fresno, fighting, listen to this, against Don King's fighter, Amir Ahmad. So it'll be Aram and King going at each other in the Mecca of boxing. Don't miss it.
That was a little bit of inside information for everybody here. So, Mick, Top Rank has kept you busy, 4 fights this year, 4 knockouts. You have to be happy with how things are going to wrap up 2017 now with 5 fights and excited about what 2018 has to bring for you.
Yeah, I feel I'm moving along nicely. You know, 4 wins, 4 knockouts. Come Saturday night, it'll be 5 wins, 5 knockouts, and you know, I'll finish off the year nicely, have a nice Christmas and get back to business in the new year.
All right, sounds good. Michael Conlon, he'll be in our co-main event Saturday night. It's going down 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Now let's switch it over to our main event. You guys have been waiting patiently. I appreciate it. We're going to use a couple translators here. You guys are with me. Thank you so much. We'll go to Guillermo Rigondeaux first. He has a microphone too. Alex is going to translate. Thank you, Alex. Guillermo, I have to ask you, I think this is the #1 question that everybody's been wanting to know in the lead up to this fight. Can you please let us know who is running your Twitter account? We need to meet that man.
Sé que esta es la pregunta que todo el mundo quiere preguntarte. ¿Quién es el que está encargado de tu cuenta de Twitter? Me right here. That's me right here.
Your English is great on Twitter.
Sé que le encanta el inglés tuyo. Says he's learning.
Very, very good, very good. All right, now that that's out of the way, it is him, everybody. It's the real Rigondeaux running his Twitter. Why move up 2 weight classes for this fight? Obviously, you've been well established at 122. Why the move to 130 to fight Vasily Lomachenko at this point in your career?
Está bien establecido en 122, eres el rey de la 122. ¿Por qué subiste 2 categorías para pelear con Lomachenko?
Un saludo antes que todo. Saludo, campeón.
Like Terrence, says that's the best boxer Bob has. Terrence, the best boxer. You'd like to thank everybody for coming.
No, pues nada.
You fight him next?
Dice que si peleas con él próximo.
No, el paso que voy, hablo con él.
He goes, yeah, absolutely. After this, I'm ready to go.
Nada, quería decir, no, es una pelea real, 2 campeones olímpicos.
This is a real fight.
Olímpico, y es una noche de olímpico, una noche de estrella. Y es lo que vamos a demostrarle el sábado. Lo vamos a hacer bien al 100% y espero que a todo el mundo le guste.
I expect all the fans to appreciate this is a night of stars, of 2, Olympic champions, and the fans are in for a real treat, and we're going to put on a great show for you guys.
Yeah, at the age of 37, what does it mean for you at this point in your career, with all you've accomplished to this point, to be a part of such a historic night of boxing?
A la edad tuya, en tu carrera, en este momento, ¿qué te parece estar en este gran evento?
Todo el mundo me pregunta mi edad.
Everyone asks my age. Everybody wants to know my age.
Mira a ver alrededor que chamaquito está mejor que yo.
It says, you go ahead and look and see who looks better than me. That's younger.
But what does it mean at this point in his career to take part in such a historic fight?
Este es parte de esta cartelera para ti que representa.
No, esta es una pelea muy importante.
Very important fight.
En mi carrera deportiva y
in my career.
Y espero que a todo el mundo le guste lo que vamos a hacer el sábado, que va a ser un buen show para todo el mundo.
It's going to be a great show, and I hope everybody appreciates the show we're going to put on Saturday.
And this is the first time in the promotion you kind of sat this close or been next to Vasily Lomachenko.
Primera vez que en esta promoción que estás sentado tan cerca de tu oponente.
Now that you do have him face to face, is there anything that you'd like to say before Saturday night?
Ahora que están presentes uno al otro, si tienes algo que decir.
No, yo soy una persona que no soy de tanto hablar, yo no soy de tanto hablar, yo resuelvo las cosas arriba del ring y donde lo hago y donde lo demuestro. Yo no soy una persona que ando hablando tanto ni nada de eso.
I demonstrate things on the ring when it's time to fight. I don't like to talk a lot or disrespect my opponent in any way. He's a great boxer, and I like to express myself in the ring.
And on Twitter.
And on Twitter.
All right, Guillermo, gracias. Now over to Vasily Lomachenko. Rocking the glasses today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Perhaps you're rocking the glasses today because, as we've talked about, this fight is very much a mental fight, maybe more so than it is physical, where you're going to use your mind even more than your body, which is, the case in many fights, but maybe more so in this fight because of the technical ability and the skills that you guys bring into this ring. How much more do you feel like this is a mental battle than even a physical battle on Saturday night? Battle of the brains, if you will.
Да, конечно, это будет бой интеллектов, и поэтому это вдвойне интересно, особенно для людей, которые понимают бокс. Это бой будет для ценителей бокса.
Yes, of course, it's going to be a very intelligent fight. Two guys meeting who's very knows about boxing, so an intelligent fight, brain fight.
Something that's been a theme throughout your career has been making history. It was important for you to fight for a title in so many fights, win 2 world titles in 2 different divisions and in only so many fights. And now here another opportunity for you to make history. Already just stepping into the ring, being the first time two-time gold medalists have fought. What does this fight mean to you in your young career so far?
This fight very important for me because a lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of media want this fight. If it's a very special fight for them, it's special for me. It will be interesting.
Do you feel like, and maybe you can't answer this till afterwards, but in terms of the fighters that you fought so far, do you feel like even though he's coming up in weight, he's going to be the toughest fight that you've had so far?
У тебя было много уже соперников. Ты даже если он поднимается в весе, ты думаешь, что он самый хороший соперник для тебя?
I don't know, I need to check and I need to try, and after the fight I can answer this question.
All right, I'll ask you again. Bob, for you, just comments on this matchup between these two very, very special fighters.
I think both fighters have paid me a great honor to allow me, together with Dino, to promote this fight, because this is so historic that years from now, when they write about boxing and they write about the great matches in history, I'm telling you, this fight between Lomachenko and Rigondeux will be one of the fights that they will be talking about. Saturday, here in Madison Square Garden, history will be written.
All right, first things first, the fighters will have to weigh in tomorrow. If you'd like to join us, the weigh-ins will be starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The main event will be on the scale about 2:20 p.m. If you can't be here at the Garden, it'll take place right here at this very same area. It will be streaming live on the ESPN app and on ESPN3 tomorrow. So tune in and watch the weigh-in. You'll see these guys face to face. Although I think they're gonna pose the fighters right now, so you'll get a chance to see them up close and personal.
When you pose the fighters, I want to be up there because this is historic.
Oh,
This got to go
you're
in
the
my
man.
library.
Of course. I'll let you. All right, thank you everybody for joining us. Weigh-ins tomorrow, doors open just before 7:30 on Saturday night. Main event on the air at 9:30 p.m. Thank you everyone.
Everybody down.
Down.
Hey, down to the center, guys.
Down.
Guys, everybody down. Everybody down.
In the middle, please.
We've got TV cameras behind you.
Down.
Sir, please sit down. The phone. The jacket.
Okay, now let's let two fighters.
Harv, down, Harv.
No, you're good. You're good.
Everyone look down at Mikey, please. The blue cap.
Right here. Everybody down here.
Everybody, oh, one last shot. Look up for TV up there. All right, what's next, Mikey?
Main event only. Thank you.
Where's Bob?
And Coco first. Coco.
What do you want? Look down at Mikey, please. The blue cap.
Down, down.
Stay down. Okay, look up for TV, please. Stay there.
Face to face, Mike.
Mikey, the blue cap.
Ahí viene el saludo. Ahí viene Papa en el medio.
Okay, look down at Mikey, right the blue cap, please. Look up the TV, please, on the platform. Everybody good?
Face off.
Face off, Freddie.
Face off.
Face off.
Face off, please.
Ahí viene el face off. Ahí viene el face off. Ahí viene el face off. Ahí está, redondeado. Dale, Rigo. Toma. Ahí está, señores. Con mucho respeto. No quieren ninguno de los dos. Ahí ven el campeón.
Hey, listen. In addition to two guys each with 2 gold medals fighting each other, the WBO supervisor is a WBO supervisor is an Olympic gold medalist from Hungary, 96. Coco. What's his full name? Coco Kovacs.
Loma, over here. Loma. Loma. Here. Push the TV cameras. Thank you. Straight ahead.
Bye-bye. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching.